how we account for it?
Well, we, during the course of the audit, we worked with Mark to make sure that he displayed it the way it needs to be displayed for both GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, and for the GFOA certificate. Because we prepare so many reports and review so many reports, Mark does one a year. We don't expect it to be perfect, but we work with him in advance to make sure that new pronouncements are properly stated in the notes of financial statements, items of that nature. And it's cumbersome. The report's thick and the notes are long. So we take a very close look at it.
One note, Patrick Linane is no longer a trustee at Halswick. He was the one, but it wasn't in Halswick.
Sorry.
No.
He gets that all the time.
I just wanted to know, not so much for you, but as just a general comment, that I know our percentage of our debt, allowable debt that we have has increased to 72.2% from I think 67-something% last year. And that the comparability, I think TROSA is, I have numbers from 2014, so they're a little bit old, but Whitefish Bay is at 50%, TROSA is at 31.6%, and Greendale, which is about our size, is at 26.3%. So while I'm not happy to see that our outstanding debt continues to increase towards our limit, I was happy that the debt that we did issue was used to fund public improvements and assets as opposed to private developments. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Any other questions or comments?
We just got this report on Friday, so on the next finance committee meeting, we begin a closer look through the report on Mark. Make sure we get into it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I do have a bunch of questions, but they're all for staff, so I'll wait for them.
And as always, if questions occur, if you'd like to shoot my way, I'd be more than happy to take the calls, answer your emails, whatever you want.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to the next item on the agenda, item 9, sewer environmental plan presentation. Which lady is going to give this presentation? Along with Mustafa here and Mark Wazalski. Mustafa's from Fire Beats and Mark is with Baxter Movement.
Actually, we don't rely on. Tonight we also have Mustafa Amir, village engineer, principal at Clark Beats. And when we get to that point, I'm going to hand off the presentation to Mustafa, and he will then hand off to the Baxter Woodman team. I think, Mark, would you like to introduce your team right now?
You may remember me, Mark Kolchowski with Baxter Woodman. With me this evening is Matt Moffett, who heads up our stormwater group, and Joe Johnson, who we teamed with standby.
So, I'm going to just start this evening with hopefully a brief recap of what has led us to this point, specifically related to the comprehensive facility plan that you adopted in 2011. Oh, skip that. We will also summary, Mark and his team will provide a summary of the report that they have recently completed. We'll also kind of give you a recap of the other studies that led to the decision to issue an RFP for Mark's team and his study, and then talk briefly about the engineering and planning that MMSD is doing in the region and the project that they have recently sent into engineering in Slotty for construction. So briefly to recap the facility planning goals, the first goal is to provide basement backup protection for 2 inches of rain in 1 hour throughout the village. by 2015. We're getting closer, but we do not need 2015. The second goal is to reduce inflow and infiltration in the separated area by 40% by 2035 and 80% long-term for backup protection of 4 inches of rain in 1 hour. And just to reiterate, that is related specifically to the separated area of the village. The PPI, or the inflow and infiltration, is broken down into 2 items, public and private. Public relates to the regular lining programs that we do in our separated area and those types of inflow and infiltration reductions. The other major component is the PPII program, which we discussed earlier, and that includes that lateral lining rehabilitation schedule. That was the first envision of tackling that problem. There are other methods to do it, and at the time that that policy was adopted, I believe it was that board's intention that that be the first step in private property inflow and infiltration reduction, not necessarily the final step. Third goal is separation of the sanitary and storm sewer in the combined area, completed by 2020 or 2035, which would result in backup protection against a minimum of 4 inches per 1 hour rain event in this area. And that obviously is an attempt to mirror what we are, our goal in the separated area. The fourth goal is to reduce street flooding throughout the village to provide a minimum of a 2-foot freeboard during a 3-inch per hour rainfall by 2020. And just as a reminder that freeboard definition is the elevation difference between the lowest point in the house and the highest point of the floodwaters in the street. So we want to make sure we have that cushion available. So this is a recap, a timeline recap with fabulous pictures. So, 2010 is the storms. We had nearly 1,000 homes report damage either from basement backup or from overland flooding or both. It wasn't always easy to differentiate. Beginning in August 2010, we held 4 public meetings, and in fact, we did that very specifically. Each of those meetings was targeted to a different area. So we had a meeting for Basin 1, Basin 6, the North Combined Area, and the South Combined Area. Because we recognized at that time that there were 4 distinct problems that had 4 distinct solutions. And we wanted to make sure that we were targeting that message to the appropriate groups of people. So, there were lots of discussions of that phrase top priority during that time. And you established some performance goals that carried through to the facility plan. And we began drafting the outline for that document. Am I standing in a bad spot? Can you still pick it up? I'm standing here. The study began in the fall of 2011 or 2010 and continued through late winter of 2011, and we completed a full study of all our storm separated and combined sewer facilities. We drafted the initial plan. We had a series of 6 public update meetings, and we pre-qualified 4 firms. Recall we talked about those 4 distinct areas, 4 distinct solutions for plan review and a pre-designed memoranda. And coincidentally or not, Baxter and Woodman was actually one of those firms. They designed the solution for the Basin 6 area. So the 4 firms reviewed the plan, developed pre-design memoranda. The plan was revised to include those recommendations. And that was done in May of 2011, and you approved that plan at that time, and 4 firms were hired to complete the design and engineering for those projects. Contract modifications were approved in June of 2011, and we were able to glean some of those recommendations for the northeast area sewer improvements and incorporate them into an under construction project, road project in that northeast area. And we referred to it now as the Downer project. Surveyed all the property owners, used those results to continue to have that dialogue and communications with residents, 3 public meetings, board updates in February, April, and November of 2011 to communicate the recommendations from that comprehensive facility plan. So 2012, we did projects, sewer improvement projects, and concurrently in both basins 1 and 6. Design and construction. This actually is not on there, but 2012 was the first year also of the approved PPII policy and schedule. Though we actually didn't start construction until 2013 because we already had contractors tripping over each other in that corner of the village. 2014, we constructed phase 2 of the Basin 6 sewer improvement project, and what that actually did was complete our separation from Whitefish Bay. You may recall that previously that was actually a shared basin, contributed flow through both, and continued north to an outfall in Whitefish Bay. Update to the village board that August on progress to that point. MMSD, we were also having ongoing dialogue and continuing discussion with MMSD. And at that point, they, I believe, saw that we were very committed as a village to addressing the sewer issue. And they also retained a consultant to do an evaluation of combined sewer alternatives. And that study was completed in November of that year by CDM Smith. Following year, the village, I should just throw in an editorial comment here. The north combined area, the Basin 1 solution, the Basin 6 solution, all very straightforward, very identifiable, very constructible. When we get to the southeast area, that was always where things got more difficult, more expensive, more time consuming. So MMSD, kind of jumped in that game. Contracted with CD Smith to offer a further review, additional opinions and recommendations as to possible solutions for that area. 2015, the village retained an independent, the Concord Group, to do an independent cost estimate to compare the different service area alternatives that had been proposed to that point, so that we could get a good handle on scope and funding for long-range financial planning and other considerations. That was presented to the village board in March of that year. There was continued discussion. I'm sure you all recall that price tag is it's a difficult one to swallow, to work around, to work toward, and we were continually looking for options with the possibility of decreasing that cost. And this board, or an iteration of this board at that point, issued a request for proposal for a review of the environmental impacts on the proposed storm sewer solution that was at that point the leading recommendation for addressing issues in the combined sewer area. On a parallel track, MMSD relatively recently informed staff in the village that they were also doing an internal study on reconfiguration or capacity additions to their facilities in that same area. So those two went very much on a parallel track. Our track finished a little sooner, and we held back this recommendation to hear the final response from MMSD, because we had assumed that it would greatly or potentially greatly impact the implementation of those study recommendations. So we are here tonight actually to give you both of those pieces and marry them together for you. So I'm going to hand off now to Mustafa, and he is going to give you a summary to this date again of the actions under the facility plan.
Thank you. So as Leanne described, in the last 6 years or so, we've been busy addressing each and every area that we had identified. Our friends at Baxter and Woodman helped us with Basin 6. That work is complete. We worked with MMSD to obtain a new connection to their system near Kensington by the park. So I think that you can see, and you've seen it happen. Our separated sewer side has been addressed. We have an ongoing infiltration reduction in public and private sewers throughout the village. We do this every year. Public sewers, private lines. We're repairing manholes and reducing the amount of flow into our system. Last year, those of you who've traveled in the north end of our east side on Kensington and a couple of north-south streets between Kensington and Lake Bluff, you saw big pipes going in. We actually reconfigured the flows there to improve things in the combined sewers in the north side as the